Namo Adidafa. Thanks so much for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This wonderful sound calls us back to our true home. The third mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I vow to cultivate responsibility and learn ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. I'm determined not to engage in sexual relations without love and a long-term commitment. To preserve the happiness of myself and others, I'm determined to respect my commitments and the commitments of others. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. For our Dharma lessons, we're now reading More Than Mindfulness, Widening the Field of Practice by the Monastics of Abhayagiri Monastery. We're continuing tonight in a Dharma talk by Ajahn Pasano called The Need for Balance. Of course, there's an endless number of things to point to, but I think there's some recurrent themes that consistently come up with when teachers advise people who are interested in the Dhamma. Certainly, the precepts lay a really firm foundation for how we guide our daily life. Viewing the precepts not just as restrictive guidelines which force me to give up certain behaviors, but looking at what really makes me feel good and what makes others feel good. So having a commitment to non-harming, not taking the life of any living creature, not threatening some other life form. When we steep ourselves in that, we feel good. It is the same with not taking what isn't given. Steeping ourselves in the commitment to honesty, the commitment to respecting the belongings of others, especially when we think of trust. I use trust often with the word faith. Faith, confidence, and trust. Those words have similar qualities. For ourselves, how do we trust ourselves? How do we have faith in ourselves? Well, it's that commitment to honesty. It's a commitment to respect. Again, that gives a certain strength within the heart that is very supportive in our practice. To be reflecting on the precepts in this way, there is the precept around sexual relationships. I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct. But it's also how we relate to each other in a respectful way so that there is trust in our relationships with each other. It lays a foundation for us to experience a sense of trust and self-confidence. That's something the Buddha points to as a benefit of having kept the precepts and forming a basis of integrity with our actions of body and speech. There is confidence when we go into different assemblies of people, when we interact with people. Whether it is a small or large number, whether it's people with authority or not, there is a sense of confidence that is underlying our relationships and interactions with other people. Again, there's a sense of ease when we engage with others. I think of Ajahn Chah as one of the foremost examples of that. He was at ease whether he was with farmers, merchants, military, or foreigners. There's just this ease and straightforwardness that comes from the precepts, that comes from that foundation. It is something that the Buddha points to as a benefit that arises. And certainly, that is the case with the fourth precept around speech. When we are committed to truth, when we are committed to non-harming, it's not that there needs to be some super wise application as to how we relate. We're committed to right speech, to not gossiping, not telling lies, not wasting our energy in frivolous speech. In the scriptural language, the word that is translated as frivolous speech is very illustrative of what the Buddha is pointing to. It's sampha palapa. It is onomatopoetic. You can just hear someone blathering along about nothing. So much of speech is not necessary, is not useful. Rather than distracting ourselves and distracting others with frivolous speech, we have a settled quality inside. Again, there is an ease that comes from that. There is a commitment to the precepts, not because we are afraid of some punishment or that there is some sort of punitive aspect to transgressing the precepts, but because it feels much better to be within the bounds of the precepts. It is for our cessation of suffering. It is for experiencing that sense of ease and well-being. The last precept of refraining from intoxicants of various kinds is for keeping the mind as clear as possible. We already have the intoxicating habits of greed, hatred, and delusion, and all of their ramifications. So, we refrain from the various kinds of substances that can intoxicate the mind and create more dullness and confusion. It is a commitment to clarity. And as we continue with that, we understand that the Buddha's teachings help us to refine that commitment to clarity, to truth, to well-being. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Namo Adida Phat. Thanks so much for joining me today.